Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to be talking about how I fixed my alexithymia. The first thing I want to do is say I'm not really sure to what degree I fixed it. So the difference between healing and curing is that a cure fixes something as if it never happened, right? And healing something is like if you break a bone, you don't cure it, you heal it, right? Because there's always going to be that kind of seam where the bone's been broken, right? But it can heal. And so with alexithymia, I've healed myself, and PTSD is also about healing as opposed to curing. It's so I don't know, am I normal now? I'm not sure. I can feel sensations in my body and I can feel emotions in my body, but I don't know if I'm where I would be without trauma. So I just wanted to say that up front. So what is alexithymia? If you haven't figured it out already, it's the inability to feel sensations and emotions in your body. And I didn't actually even know that emotions were something that you were supposed to feel in your body until I started to get mine back. I also came across this study that they did where they asked people to describe where they felt different emotions in their body, and then they created a heat map based on those responses. So check this out. So that's pretty cool, right? Other thing that I want to say at the beginning of this video is that what we're trying to develop is known as interoception. It's the ability to feel with your mind what's going on in your body, what's going on inside of you. And so I don't know if what we're doing is fixing alexithymia or developing interoception. I don't know if they're two different things or the same thing or two different things. I'm not sure. So I talk about how I mainly use two kinds of meditation when I was healing my PTSD. And the first kind is empty mind meditation, and I talk about that in the meditation video. The second kind I call point focus meditation, and if someone knows that, if there's actually a name for this type of meditation and I'm just making up my own, leave it in the comments so I can use the name everybody else calls it, but I don't know what else to call it, so I just call it point focus meditation. And the idea is that you're focusing on a point in your body. It could also be an area. So for example, there's one kind of meditation that's called a body scan, and it's a relaxation technique. So you start with your feet and you really tune in and feel your feet, and you relax your feet, and then you tune in and feel your legs and you relax your legs, and you tune in and feel your abdomen and you relax your abdomen, so on and so forth. You scan your whole body like that, and by the time you get up to your head and your eyelids and everything, you're very relaxed, and it's very good for sleep. But the kind of meditation that I'm going to talk about in this video is more like chakra-based meditation. And I know that using the word chakra, it is very woo, right? It's a spiritual concept. But it's a spiritual concept that's occurred in different traditions and in different places throughout history and time. So it goes back to the Hindu tradition, talked about the chakras, and then the Buddhists, that's part of their belief system. But then also the Rosicrucians talk about the seven roses, and those represent the seven energy centers of the body, and that's what the chakras are. They're the seven energy centers, and each chakra connects to a different type of energy. So your root chakra is about safety and security, your sacral chakra is about creativity and sexuality, your solar plexus, your third chakra, is about power and confidence. And so these different chakras represent different energies. And what you do when you're doing this type of meditation is, if you really try to feel the tip of your finger, right? If you brush your finger, even after you've brushed it, you can kind of still feel that sensation. You can feel this skin right here, right, with your mind. It's like a mind, not necessarily muscle, but mind-body connection, right? So if you're a weightlifter, one of the things you do is you build a mind-muscle connection so that when you're doing the exercise, if you're doing a bicep curl, you're consciously contracting your bicep as you're doing that, but you have to develop that mind-muscle connection. And so that's basically the same thing that you're doing, but with different parts of your body. And in this case, with different energy centers in your body. And at first, you might not feel anything because it takes time to develop that kind of mind-body connection, right? But as you do it more, you'll start to feel sensations. You'll start to feel sensations in these different energy centers. And I started to wonder, as I started to feel sensations, if I was just kind of making this up in my head. Could I pay attention to any part of my body and feel those sensations? Could I just pay attention to my wrist and feel those sensations there, or my elbow or whatever? And I thought one of my chakras was in one place, but it was actually about 2 inches or 3 inches away in a slightly different place. But I was focusing close enough that eventually I started to feel the sensations in that energy center. And that to me made me feel like I was tuning into something that was naturally occurring in my body. I wasn't just making this up. And this is an experience that you can engage with, and you can actually feel these different energy centers in your body. And for someone that's been traumatized, like within the spiritual community, there's the idea that you get blockages. So safety and security, right? If you've been traumatized, that's going to have a block. If you've been sexually traumatized, your sacral chakra could have a block. Trauma can also affect your third chakra, which has to do with like power and confidence, because you've been basically beat down, right? You've been rolled over, like kind of crushed by the world and crushed by life, right? And it kind of makes it harder, like that's kind of that moral injury, right? And so on and so forth. And so what I did basically was I used Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations to specifically the one he calls the blessings of the energy centers, to work on these chakras and these energy centers and to kind of get them opened up. And as I did that, I was able to start feeling emotions, and through that work, I was also able to start to identify the sensations that were going on in my body. And a lot of that is going to go back to, if you watched the video I did on how to fix overactive physiology, how to fix a dysregulated central nervous system, I talk about how one of the first things you have to do is really like pay attention, right, and tune in. Well, it's that tuning in is also part of correcting this alexithymia, I think you really have to spend time tuning into your body and trying to feel into those emotions. And the good thing to know is that you can't selectively numb emotions. So if you're emotionally numb, it's like, yeah, you're not feeling panic and fear and maybe some of these other negative emotions, but you're also not feeling the positive emotions. And so as you get the sensations back in your body, you're going to start to experience negative emotions that you haven't felt in your body before. So like, for example, before I started to fix my alexithymia, I would get like triggered, and my sympathetic nervous system would be activated, and I'd be in my fight or flight response, right? But I wouldn't really feel that in my body. I would feel it more as a psychological thing almost. Like I would feel amped up, and I would feel on edge, and I would feel like I was full of energy, but I wouldn't have like the panic sensation, the anxiety. And then once I started to correct my alexithymia, and once I started to get my emotions back, then as I started to feel those sensations in my body, it was almost worse, because now I was feeling this panic and this anxiety and this fear and these other negative emotions in my body, whereas previously I hadn't been. And so it kind of sucks, right? Because it's like you're numbed out, and then now you're feeling again, and you felt your way into pain basically, and you're like, shit, this sucks. But my sense of it is you have to be able to feel what's going on in your body if you want to start to do the second thing that I talked about in that video on fixing overactive physiology, which is start to create a new normal, right? You have to feel when you're feeling anxiety, when you're feeling panic, when you're feeling fear, so that you can use your attention, your awareness, and your thoughts to shift, right? And that's something I'll probably have to talk about in another video, because I think that's going to be kind of hard for some people. But basically what we're trying to do is tune into our bodies, feel into our bodies, and work on these energy centers in our body. And I don't know, exactly what combination of things is going to lead to the fastest healing process. And I also don't know which of these are more crucial than others. Like it could be that the mindfulness and the feeling and the paying attention is like 20% of it, and doing the point focus meditation on your energy centers, the chakra-based meditation, is like 80% of it or something. I don't know. Or maybe it's vice versa, right? But empty mind meditation, in my sense, also plays a role in this. And so if you watch that video, I talk about the video I did on meditation. I talk about empty mind meditation. I talk about some of its benefits. One of the things that I experienced was, because generally you slip into like a meditative state where you're not really thinking any thoughts, you're just feeling sensations in your body, which I think that kind of meditation also helps with alexithymia. But one of the experiences that you can have is you'll start to have like almost kind of these dream-like interactions with your unconscious mind. That's what I think is happening. And one of the experiences that I had was, I had this like image or vision of like me like sliding down like into my body, like shimmying into my body, like feeling into it, right? Like I was sliding into a wetsuit or something. And then the phrase came to my mind, or the thought came to my mind, like cozying up next to a girl on a park bench. And this is how your unconscious mind communicates with you. It communicates with you in like images and like phrases and ideas, not so much in like language that like, if I was having a conversation with you the way that I would say it, right? It's kind of weird like that. And I think what my unconscious mind was trying to tell me was like, I needed to like really feel into my body and like cozy up to my feelings and my sensations and everything in my body. And one of the other things I thought about while I was doing this work was how much I've ran and disassociated from my body. I actually think that I've struggled with disassociation, even though I maybe didn't really like consciously recognize it. But like when I was in the Army, like being an infantryman, like everything sucks pretty much, right? Like if you're out in the field and it's like a nice day, like today's a nice day, like you're lucky. Usually it's raining or it's too hot or it's too cold or whatever, and so you're suffering, right? And so you kind of pull out of your body. If you're on a road march and your legs hurt and your back hurts and your shoulder hurts, you're going to kind of withdraw from your body. You're going to kind of disassociate somewhat. And same thing in combat. I mean, you're hungry, you're tired, you're miserable, like your body hurts, all these different forms of suffering, right? So you just kind of like shift your mentality. You kind of run away from your body almost. And so now it's like, this is a matter of like coming back into your body. And unfortunately, it's kind of like you left your house for a while and you come back and it's like, there's rats living in the walls and like the pipes are leaking and the paint's peeling and like all this, right? Because what you're coming back into is a body that's probably dysregulated. So like I said, you're going to be feeling panic and fear and all these negative emotions, not just from the sympathetic nervous system being activated, but from your intrusive thoughts or flashbacks or whatever you're experiencing, as well as whatever emotions you're carrying around from those experiences, as well as the moral injury. And you're also probably going to have pain and tension in your body. If your digestive tract is messed up, you're going to maybe have some pain there. And so what you're coming back to might not necessarily be the most pleasant of things, but what you're trying to do is work through all those things and heal all those things so that you can have a happy body, a healthy body, you can achieve well-being. And so hopefully you found this video useful and interesting. I'm going to start a discussion about this video on the Rethinking PTSD subreddit. So if you have questions, you can post them in the comments on YouTube. That's cool. But I'm going to try to get like a more in-depth conversation going on the subreddit, because I think this will be a good one. I might start doing that with all the videos. So hopefully you found this hopefully you found this video interesting and useful. Like, subscribe, and share with your friends. That really would help me grow the channel. If a Facebook group or just people you know or on your social media or whatever, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks.